Hello guys, welcome back once again. It's me, Jim Samurai, and today we are reviewing the game between Alexander Onischuk and Wesley, which was played in US Championship 2017. So this game was in the playoffs, and in the playoffs there was just Onischuk and Wesley. They were playing 2 games, and if they got equal score at the end of those 2 games, then there will be an Armageddon game. So, but this is the second game which was played. So the first game Wesley managed to win. So this game actually Alexander need to win this. So let's see actually what happened, right? So let's actually start. Onischuk had white pieces, and he started with knight f3, have d5, g3, c6, bishop g2, bishop g4, castles, and knight d7. Normal idea, going for ideas with e5, d3, knight f6, h3, bishop h5, and now knight d2, just developing normally. The king's in the end opening. So yeah, and here we got just e5 by black, and I think black's position is actually fine. So e5, e4, and bishop e7, just developing normally. Queen e8. So here you'll see why he actually played queen e8. So queen e8 is to get out of the spin of the bishop, and also with queen e8 you also put some pressure on the e5 squares, so the e5 square and the pawn. So that's why queen e1 was played. Castles, and got here knight h4. So that's another idea, to go for some ideas of f4 and also knight f5. So rook e8 was played, knight f3, bringing the other knight to the game, and now Wesley decided to take on e4, takes, and knight c5, putting pressure on this pawn on e4, g4, bishop g6, and Onischuk decided to take on g6 and to take on e5. So actually Onischuk is not winning a pawn right here, because you see. So let's see why he's actually not winning a pawn. It looks like he's a pawn up, but Wesley is winning the pawn back very easily. So bishop d6, the best move, knight c4, and knight takes c4, and Wesley won the pawn back. So knight takes d6, queen takes d6, and you need to play queen d1 to get out of this rook file. So queen d1, and here we got a very strange, I think dubious maybe, idea, move, plan by Wesley, and it is queen c5. So if you see this position, if actually black just play queen c7, just bringing the queen back, then the normal idea here for white is to play bishop e3, c4, put the queen on c2, which is safe square, bring the other rook to the game. That's the normal, that's the plan that white need to follow. And the thing is that after queen c5, you just help white to to follow this plan. So that's why Onischuk played bishop e3. He just develops with the tempo, and queen a5 was played. I don't understand the idea of black, so that's why I call it dubious. And c4, the best move, creating this spot on c2, and also another reason that c4 is such a good move, because it protects the square from the knight coming in. So that's why c4 is a good move. So we got rook d8, queen c2, and knight to c5. and we got here rook d1. Now knight e6. The main idea is to play g5 and knight f4 to get this knight on in a good square on f4. So queen c3 was played. This is a very interesting idea for white, because actually Wesley didn't accept this queen exchange. So let's see what is going on if he takes. So if he takes, you just take on c3, and it looks like you have double pawns, but the thing is that you have two bishops, and you also have some potential threats, b7 and also c6, because you see that if the rook comes to b1 to attack the b7, you can't actually play b6, because if you play b6, then the bishop on g2 becomes very strong and attacks the c6 pawn. So that's why Onischuk went for this idea, and Wesley actually didn't accept this, but he could also play check here. You need to take it, and queen a2, and this is a very interesting position because black won a pawn, but white has two bishops, and they also have the file, and that's you also threat some stuff like g5, a very good move, and that's you just white has the initiative. They play for the win, which result Onischuk wanted. So we got here queen to c7 as we said, and queen a3, threatening this pawn and also putting a queen on this diagonal, b6. So now this bishop is not that good, but this bishop is now alive, and he's attacking some that's the pawn on c6. So we got b4 here, g5 as we said. This is the idea, to get in to f4 square, queen a4 attacking the pawn, c5, and now Onischuk decided to take on c5, knight takes c5, and queen to c2. There was also another idea here to play queen c6, but after queen e5, and black managed to protect this pawn, and white is really difficult for white to create some counterplay here, and because now they have these pawns which are not very good at all here. So yes, that's why queen c2 was played, and we have knight e6, a4, a very good idea, going for a5, and now knight f4, bishop f1, because you don't want to, because Onischuk goes for a win, he doesn't want to change to give bishops, so that's why he played here bishop f1, and now takes. That's also a very dubious decision from Wesley saw, and knight e4 is the idea, but here white has a very good idea, which I think Wesley missed, and it is the move a5. So Wesley played knight c5, so let's see what happens if he takes. If he takes, you just play the very good move c5, and this bishop is now active, and the c5 pawn is very strong, and you don't know what actually the knight on e4 is doing, because the pawn protects all the squares, and this pawn is promoting, it's pushing towards promoting the queen. So that's why here knight c5 was played, takes, but now that weakness on b6 can be, the pawn on b6 can be a big weakness in the endgame. Queen f5, a very good move, attacking the g5 pawn, and here f6 was played, and h4, another very good move, and now it's very difficult here to find the move for black, and so that's why, because he can't take, because the knight is hanging, and also the pawn on g6 is falling right now, so that's why Wesley decided to play just rook e5 and just give this pawn, but play for the draw, which if he gets a draw in the situation which he was, he just became the US champion. So queen e7 was played and bishop g2. The bishop is very strong on g2, and now this is another very strange decision by Wesley. So because you just change the rooks and play king h2, and now the bishop is better than the knight, and also the b6 weakness is a big weakness. Alright, the pawn on b6 is a big weakness. So queen e7 was played, and now here White had a very good idea, and I want you to pause the video here and try to find what is the idea that White had. So White had a very good idea here. Bishop d5, which was winning actually. Bishop d5. You need to play king h7, because if you play something like this, then White managed to change the queens and it's just winning. So king h7, and now you play queen f5 check. You need to play g6, and now queen c8, another very good move. You're threatening queen g8, and it's just losing for black because they need to play like something like this, which is very strange. And you can just, I don't know, just take the pawn. Apparently, it's just winning. So that was the winning variation for Onischuk, but he played queen b8. So, and he decided to take the pawn, but here White's advantage has dropped, because here queen d4 is a very good move, and you're threatening the g4 pawn and the c4 pawn at the same time. Queen b1 was played, and now knight d3, another very good move. Queen c2, and now king h7, getting out of the pin, and now queen e2, knight e5, and bishop d5, and White has some advantage, but it is not the same like it was previously. g5, h5, king g7, king g2, and it's very strange that here actually after king g2, king h6, White had the best move here for White is to play queen e4. That's very strange, because because if he takes and you take, that's the best idea for White, because you have a protected passed pawn, and also the king is coming. So the bishop, you have also a bishop, which is actually winning. If you play right, it's just winning for White. But king g3 was played here, and now they repeated moves to, I don't know, get time. And now the thing is that here both sides had a time pressure, so they were playing very fast. And here king g1 was played because black was threatening knight f4, king g1, knight f4. Anyway, queen c2, because now you can't take on here because there is a mate. So queen a1 was played, king h2, queen e5 again, and now bishop to h7, threatening mate on h7, bishop g8, threatening mate on h7, and now black took on it here, king g7, knight f4, king f3, knight g6, protecting this diagonal from the mate on h7, and now queen e4, and now here, yeah, White just blundered, and it's just a draw. So because there is always a special check, and you can get away because there is just this check, and you can't get away. So that's how Onischuk missed his chance to become the US champion. So I hope you enjoyed, guys, and be sure to like the video because it helps a lot. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and see you in the next video, guys. Peace.